Raw on Netflix was very underwhelming.
The Rock says, the Rock says,
Welcome back to another episode of FPW, the Flash Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Chris Flash, and here we talk pro wrestling. I want to take a second to talk about all of the hype that went into Raw on Netflix. Now, this was definitely a monumental moment for professional wrestling, and I understand why they want to get as many eyeballs on the product as possible. This is transcendent. This is pushing wrestling into the mainstream atmosphere, unlike anything they've ever done before. And I get that. What I don't understand is if you're trying to showcase exactly what it is that you guys do and the product that you guys offer. Y'all did great on the production value, but WWE always does excellent in that regard, right? They always find a way to up the ante when it comes to how they show us what it is that they do. What was confusing to me is on this 3-hour show, there were only 4 matches, one of which arguably didn't matter. I don't think the Drew McIntyre and Jey Uso match really mattered. That could have waited to the following episode of Monday Night Raw. I can understand why you would open the show with Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. Roman Reigns is the biggest star that you got, so you got to have him on the show somewhere, and you got to have him pick up the win. What I didn't like is you have Triple H open up the show with a beautiful this video package of showcasing the history of professional wrestling, and it was laid out beautifully, and it was. I'm trying my best to paint the picture for you. Ironically, because the whole basis of this was painting a picture on the canvas, but it was this giant sheet over the entire ring. The entire ring was hidden, and it was projected onto this canvas was this video package. So every side of the ring, every side of the arena could be able to see what was going on. And once that video package was over, everything fell, and Triple H was left standing in the ring. He gave a great promo, if you will, welcome everybody and saying how big this is, yada, yada, yada. And then The Rock comes out. Now, all of the diehard wrestling fans were sitting on the edge of their seats waiting for what The Rock was going to do. Because you knew that, okay, you got a tribal combat match for the Ulafala and for the right to be tribal chief. And this entire time, we've been thinking that, okay, The Rock has been the person that's been behind this new bloodline. He's going to be the one that's going to come out and cost Roman the Ulafala. He's going to be the one that sides with Solo Sikoa and make sure that he stays tribal chief. But that didn't happen. Rock just came out and just pretty much repeated exactly what Triple H said, welcoming everybody to the show and saying how important it was. And he did some, he pretty much buried everything that he had worked an entire year building a feud with Cody Rhodes on, and just dropped it all, saying how much he respected him and how important it is for him to carry the company on his back. And a lot of people are saying, well, this show wasn't for, the diehard fans. It was for the new people coming in and didn't really understand, what was going on, but they recognized a few different faces. Some of the bigger names are Cody Rhodes, Rock, Triple H's, Roman Reigns, so on and so forth, and that's fine. But it's kind of a spit in the face when you've been pushing this to your diehard audience for all this time, and then we're like, this ain't the final boss. This ain't The Rock that we've been. I mean, yeah, he's dressed the same, but the presentation isn't the same. This isn't like, is this board of directors Rock? And if that's the case, then maybe package it that way. Like, this isn't, this is board of directors Dwayne Johnson. This isn't the final boss, The Rock. Because you got Cody sitting in the crowd. A WWE champion is in the crowd watching the opening promo. Why isn't he in the back with everybody else? So I don't know. It was just weird. And Rock, the last couple times, because Rock was on Raw on Netflix, and then he came back and was on NXT the following night, and I don't think The Rock really knows what he's doing. I think he's trying so hard to go the other way with with his character and trying to just erase any idea of the final boss character in the sense of him being a heel. Maybe, I don't know. This week for wrestling has been weird, but as of right now, it doesn't seem like Rock really wants to be a heel character anymore. He didn't project himself that way. Like I was under the assumption that, like I said, Rock was gonna come out and he was gonna cause some issues between Roman and Solo. But the matches themselves, the Tribal Combat match was great. It was a typical Bloodline match. It was great for the first 2/3, and then there was a ref bump, and then all the shenanigans started happening. You had the interference with the new Bloodline, Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga. They come out, they jump Roman, and then Jimmy Uso and Sami Zayn come out and even that out. So they take those two out, and we're thinking, okay, we're back to 101 because Jey Uso, well, with Roman being a babyface, Jey Uso can't now come out and try to and try to get the numbers game up on Solo because that's not a babyface move to do. So Roman sets up the spear, and out of nowhere, Kevin Owens shows up and hits Roman with a stunner. Now I know the history of Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns, but I was not expecting that whatsoever. And so then Cody comes out and helps Roman again and runs off Kevin Owens. In my mind, I'm thinking Drew McIntyre is going to come out. Drew never comes out, I guess because they didn't want to show those two before their match later on that night, which I would have probably brought them out just to try to raise the hype of it all. And I mean, if you don't know who Drew McIntyre is, this would be a great way to kind of show him early on in the program, because at this point everyone pretty much knows or they know exactly who Jey Uso is, right? And so after all that happens, and after Cody runs off Kevin, Roman hits 2 spears and he becomes the tribal chief once again. They went with the right option. I'm always the guy that wants things to be shaken up, right? I'm always the person that, I want to see what happens when the guy that you want to win doesn't. I want to know what, how do you continue to tell the story when you think, oh, this person's supposed to win, this person's supposed to win, but what if he doesn't? I always think that's the most interesting way to go about things. So Roman's in the ring, he's on one knee waiting for Paul to place the Ula Fala on his neck. And with the great framing, by the way, Rock walks out. No music, he just walks out. And he gets in the ring. It looks like he's staring down Roman. But he goes over to Paul and says, "Can I do the honor?" Rock and Paul's like, "Of course you can." So he gives him the Ula Fala. And I'm standing up. I'm literally in the TV just like this. Like, okay, I know he's about to do something. Rock is about to do. The match is over. So Roman is the tribal chief. So we don't have to worry about that. But the Ula Fala isn't on him just yet. He hasn't claimed it just yet. So maybe Rock is about to swerve us and hit him with a rock bottom and then go, pick up Solo and then they go back to the back, whatever the case may be. But no, he just put the Ula Fala on the Rock and they hug. Roman throws up the ones and that's it. It felt very anticlimactic. It didn't feel the same way when Afa and Sika put the Ula Fala on Roman originally. It just kind of felt, I don't know. It kind of, for lack of a better term, it felt out of place. Like I didn't know. As a diehard fan, I didn't really know exactly what I was looking at. The following match was probably the most anticipated match aside from Roman versus Solo. Well, the main event may have been up there too. But anyway, for the better part of a year, we have been waiting for Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship. And unfortunately, it wasn't a situation where, it's Rhea and Liv one-on-one, because Liv is a package deal type of character. She's not going to come out there and fight anybody one-on-one. It's always going to be some shenanigans, and that's just the type of heel that she is, and I'm okay with that. But this match actually was pretty good. I've gone on record with not being the biggest fan of Liv, but I was impressed with her work in this match. Her ability to sell. She has great facial expressions and she can sell her butt off. So I will give her that. But what I was really impressed with was Rhea's ability to also tell that story of being worked over. If you look at them on paper, if you look at them side by side, Rhea can absolutely destroy Liv, but there's no match in that. So Rhea, you know, giving the lead way to bump around also and really bring that story and almost make it feel like, you know what, Liv could probably win this. I mean, there was even a moment where she hit the Oblivion on Rhea onto a chair the exact same way she won at SummerSlam, and I thought that was gonna be it. Especially after Liv kicked out of a Riptide, I was like, okay, yeah, I don't know who's gonna win this, but all in all, Raquel gets taken out. Of course, Dom tries to get involved, but it doesn't really do too much aside from the chair spot. And Rhea's getting worked over. Liv goes for one more Oblivion. Rhea stops her, looks her in the face, laughs, and hits two Riptides. 1, 2, 3, and finally, this feud is over, and Rhea is the new Women's World Champion. The match itself was kind of, a foregone conclusion. Everyone kind of knew that she was going to win that match. And then after the match, Dom gets in the ring and he's trying to patch things up with Rhea and try to give her a hug. Rhea wasn't having that. She kicks him in the nuts, hits a Riptide on him. We've been waiting on that forever, probably more so than the Liv and Rhea match. I kind of wish she would have did it through the announce table, but if you guys saw that announce table on Raw, that thing is not breaking. Whoever is going through that table might be written off TV for a little bit. I mean, they got that thing reinforced with LED boards and all types of stuff. It's gonna be sturdy. You know what I'm saying? Like, if let's say Randy Orton was to hit an RKO on it, nah. And Randy goes on a record a lot of times saying he hates giving RKOs on the table because it never breaks. Brother, you ain't hitting no RKO on this. That might put you back on the shelf. So Rhea goes back up the ramp, and she's celebrating with the title. I'm thinking she's going to hold the title up, and it's going to be the pyro. And you know how they always do when, someone wins the championship. But no, the gong hits, and American Badass Undertaker comes out on his bike, and he just rides down to the ring and comes back up. And they just do the Brothers of Destruction, throw up the hands, the look back. And that's when the pyro hits, and it fades away. They were just sprinkling stuff here. You know who Undertaker is? Look at him. Hey, you know who The Rock is? Look at him. It was just a bunch of stuff. It was like a wrestling variety show. I don't know. None of it really made a lot of sense. Like, why are you here? And I know why you're here, but you're not doing the thing that you're probably supposed to be doing to further the story for us to get from point A to B. I don't know where we are right now. And so what was probably the funniest, and I know the most talked about part of the show was, for whatever reason, they bring out Hulk Hogan. I don't know from a business perspective, because they are part owners of the Real American Beer, which is Hulk Hogan's beer brand apparently. So I understand from a business perspective why you would want to kind of come out and market this whole thing. Plus, let's be honest, when it comes to professional wrestling, arguably the biggest name ever is Hulk Hogan. You know what I'm saying? So it's frowned upon, and I wouldn't suggest it, but I understand it. He comes out and immediately it's boos. I've seen people on the internet, and every time that clip pops up, when they're watching it live, they make the exact same face that I made, and we were just like, ugh. Like why are you here? And LA may let him hear it. I mean, I've never. They were giving him Dominic Mysterio levels of heat. It wasn't to the point where he couldn't talk, but it was loud enough to where, I mean, there was no confusion that this crowd and majority of the professional wrestling community despises this man. And he was trying his best to keep it rolling, but it just was not happening. This crowd was not happening. And he was trying his best to try to hide behind Jimmy Hart, who is beloved, but Jimmy Hart can't save you, bro. You ain't. I mean, it's Hulk. It ain't gonna work for you. I'll be surprised if anybody actually buys your beer. I mean, you are a sponsor, and your logo is on the mat at different PLEs, and that's fine, but that might just be some marketing dollars that might not be worth it, bro. I don't see it happening. Not with the track record you got. And so, like I said, we move on to the Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso match, and this match really didn't, for me, it just didn't matter. Like again, I've said this before. I'm not the biggest fan of Jey Uso. I think he's mainly just a catchphrase, like a LA Knight. But Jay and Drew don't have enough, for me, don't have enough of a story built up to make this match mean anything. And for a big show like this, if you're gonna have all hands on deck, you can have Jay there and you can have Drew there, but I don't think this match was something that was needed to showcase to a broader audience what it is that you guys do. And that's how the match kind of laid out. It was just a raw match. It was just a match. And Jay picked up a win via a roll-up pin, and that was it. There was no furthering any type of stories. But what I will say, the opening match and that main event, Seth Rollins and CM Punk did not disappoint. Now, it's hard for me to go on record and say that CM Punk is back and he's better than ever and all the other types of stuff. He hasn't had enough matches for me to feel that way. For the majority of the time he's been back in WWE, the guy's been on the shelf. He's been cutting some great promos, but he's always been great on the mic. In the ring, especially in AEW, he kind of left a little bit to be desired, except for that match that he had with MJF and the match that he had with Samoa Joe at All In. Those two matches, sublime, absolutely beautiful. But prior to those matches, And so with him coming out into this match, I didn't know what type of CM Punk we were going to get. I mean, it's easy to hide behind, all the bells and whistles when it comes to a War Games match. But this was just him. This was him going up against one of the best in the industry, has been one of the best in the industry for the past decade plus. And so Seth and the story that they had and the promos that they have cut and everything going up into this match, the story that they have told, it was mouthwatering. You were as a diehard fan, you were salivating and waiting for the bell to ring because even behind the scenes, these guys do not like each other. And so I was really wanting to see what type of violence and what levels they were willing to go to tell this story. And with Seth Rollins hitting a GTS on CM Punk and CM Punk hitting a stop on Seth Rollins, and it was for me, it fired back up the character of Seth Rollins. This has been the best work he's done in a long time from a complete overall standpoint. He wasn't hiding behind the gimmicks of his clothes and things of that nature. Not saying he's not always great, but this was a Seth Rollins of old. This reminded me of when he was just coming out of the Shield and he was trying to really, cut his teeth in the WWE and figure out who he was and what he wanted to do. This reminded me of that. And the same thing with CM Punk. This took me back to 2011. This took me back to the summer of Punk. Like this was perfect to introduce these two guys as two of the top guys, not just on Raw, but in the entire company. So with that being said, I can't forget this. How did I forget this? John Cena returned and announced that he's going to be a part of the Royal Rumble. He says that it's not possible for him to win his 17th championship, which if you mention it, it's probably going to happen. He's probably going to win the championship. At what point? I don't know. I don't see him. People are saying it's going to be Cody versus Cena at WrestleMania because The Rock is apparently out. He's not doing WrestleMania whatsoever. And okay, fine, but I don't see John taking down Cody. You know what I mean? Like, I'll say this. I don't see John, even if he does win the championship, I don't see him having a run with it. Maybe you guys want to see it. Do y'all want to see a actual John Cena title run? I mean, him winning the championship, cool. I've heard a lot of people say that him winning the championship should be the very last match that he has, and he's done everything. He's tried to win Money in the Bank, and he even wins Money in the Bank again, tries to cash in, and he fails. He doesn't win the Royal Rumble. He doesn't win, or maybe he does. He wins Elimination Chamber to get to WrestleMania, doesn't win at WrestleMania, and everything he tries to do to win that championship, it just doesn't happen. And I don't think he beats Cody. But what if he beats Gunther? You know, what if it's Cena versus Gunther and that's the person that he finally beats on the very last day? On December 31st, or whenever the last show is that he's going to be a part of the year, that's the day that he wins the championship, and the very next time they come on TV, he has to relinquish it. So he wins his championship, but he doesn't get the actual title run. I think I would much rather see that from a storytelling perspective than him just winning the title and we got to live through another John Cena title run. Personally, I don't want to see it. And so, like I said, I'm not gonna say that Raw on Netflix was bad. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't what I expected. I thought this was gonna be WrestleMania. I wasn't expecting to see The Rock come out and awkwardly cut promos and stand in the corner endorsing Roman Reigns when you've been on. Last time we saw you at Bad Blood, you were doing this towards Roman. I'm just confused as to where we are now with that whole entire storyline. And then we see Travis Scott smoking weed, during Jey Uso's entrance. I don't know if that's where we're going on Netflix, if that's allowed. Apparently it was, because no one tried to cut it. It was a live feed. No one has said anything. There has been no reports coming out saying that anybody's been fined. So apparently we can just smoke blunts on live WWE TV now since it's on Netflix. Okay, whatever. But like I said, it wasn't a bad show. It was just strange, and for me, a little bit underwhelming. But the rumor is that this was just the show to introduce everyone to what Monday Night Raw is, what WWE is, to people who have never really watched the product and they're avid watchers on Netflix, to bring in new eyeballs and kind of get them. Get their feet wet and get their appetite wet of what they do there. And then next week, on the next episode of Raw, we're really gonna get back into the weekly episodic wrestling program that we're all come used to. So that's why we didn't get to see the finals of the the women's IC championship match there. And I think we're gonna get Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser and things of that nature. We didn't get that on this one because I don't think it would have fit the show build they were trying to do. So I'm hoping that that's the case. Like I said, I'm really liking the presentation. I'm liking the energy behind it. I love what Netflix has the ability to do with WWE, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. But I think it's just best if we kind of put this specific episode of Raw on Netflix behind us and just refigure out where we are right now in the whole landscape on SmackDown and the upcoming episode of Raw. So that's it, guys, for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments what you guys thought of the first episode of Raw on Netflix. And again, let me know, do you guys really want to see a John Cena title run? And who should he face at WrestleMania? Should it be Cody Rhodes? Should it be a Braun Breaker? Should it be Drew McIntyre? Should it be Randy Orton? A lot of rumors has been coming on about that. I'll see you guys down the road. And as always, be safe, be blessed, be kind. Peace.
The Rock says,